Hello and welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your coach Reynoso with my boy
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
Arsenal defeats Real Madrid, not one, not two, 3-0 at the Emirates Stadium. Ultimately putting an end to this Real Madrid journey in the Champions League, my friend.
Three massive goals on the day in London in front of their home crowd. We said pre-match that I needed to see Arteta's Arsenal finally pull off a big win. And it was more than possible when you consider Real Madrid's trajectory this entire season. I predicted an Arsenal win today, but 3? I don't think I was expecting 3, man, but I mean, Declan Rice with a banger after banger, 2 of the best free kick goals I've ever seen this season. And then Merino proving that he is the guy in that false 9 position with such a classy curling finish to make it 3. Real Madrid were all over the place today. This was easily Arsenal's win all the way.
Declan Rice, what have we just seen, man? What have we just seen? Just one of the most impressive performances I've seen from him as a free kick taker more than anything. 2 straight bangers, free kicks, Raul Jimenez type shit, man.
Yeah.
Scoring beautiful goals, getting the Emirates Stadium just electrified and winning, or at least getting the lead up to 2-0. And then Mikel Merino as well with that beautiful, beautiful finish, 3-0. Vinny ghosted. Rodrigo ghosted. You could even say Mbappe, who had his opportunities, got into good spaces, but his finishing was off today. The entire midfield wasn't able to impose themselves the way that we've seen classic Madrid midfields do and pass, big games in the Champions League. And then the defense did what they tried their best. Rudiger and Asensio tried their absolute best, but I think this Arsenal team was just way too imposing at the end of the day. Bukayo Saka getting back into the team, drawing the foul that led to Declan Rice's first goal. I think everyone was just on the same page for Arsenal, and it really showed today. I think this was the culmination of Arteta ball, and for Arteta, just a big moment, I would say, in what's been his 4 or 5, I'm not sure, 6-year journey with Arsenal. Finally, seeing the fruits of it by defeating a big name in Real Madrid, a team that I ultimately did predict to win this matchup because of that big name, because of the history, because of the experience. Arsenal doing it like this, bro, winning like this, completely changes everything to the point where I consider them Champions League contenders now, man, with this victory.
Football won today, and that's why I'm really excited. You look at the way Arsenal controlled the game. It's beautiful to watch. Their midfield, from a defensive perspective, it was either Partey stepping up, making it really hard for Modric or Bellingham, or it was Declan Rice imposing himself physically, always anticipating the passes coming from Madrid. Madrid's midfield could not get around Arsenal's at all. And then offensively, this is Arteta ball. Let Odegaard pull the strings. He can come in deep. He can pop up the right side with Saka. Little tiny combinations. Yes, it can get a little annoying at times as a viewer, but it eventually comes to something. And I think that third goal really shows what Arsenal's all about. Really good body, good dribble penetration, and then hesitation, finding Merino, and then a beautiful finish. That's Arsenal ball. That's Arteta ball. And when you look at Madrid and just how they've played, absorbing a lot of pressure, not being courageous, not being able to figure out Arsenal's defense, the better team won today. Man. I think 3-0 is the perfect result to really reflect what happened on the pitch.
Yeah, I also got to give credit to Arsenal's backline. They did incredible, getting the clean sheet today. Saliba, Kiviar, who came into the team as Gabriel's replacement, I didn't notice him in a negative way. Like, he was always just really positive. Lewis Skelly, though, getting the assist to Merino's goal. I thought that was showcasing great patience, great in-the-moment decisiveness. Instead of shooting it when he did have the space, he knew that there was a better striker up front that he could hand it off to, and Merino placed it beautifully into the back of the net. I think the entire backline, Timber, too, was just great overall. And it brings me to ask the question, is a comeback even possible for Real Madrid here?
I don't think so. I think Madrid will have to go all-out attack. It's the only way they'll be able to break this really good defense that you just pointed out. And I think in doing so, Arsenal are in flow right now where they'll at least be able to get 1 goal against Madrid when they're absorbing a lot of pressure. So I think at that point, Madrid will have to get like 4 goals to overcome that. I just think that's too much. That's a lot. Obviously, this is Madrid, right? And I think if they could somehow get an early goal in the first 20 minutes, then there might be a possible comeback on display for sure. But I think overall, the next 90 minutes, Arsenal are going to figure out a way to come out on top. Arsenal through to the semis.
Producer Rud, give me a poll. Can Real Madrid come back Yes or no? I want to know what the folks in the chat think in regards to this result and what will happen in the second leg. Massive, massive result for Arsenal. Some crazy moments, man. Crazy moments overall. Camavinga getting a red card in this game at the very end, showcasing that frustration.
Yeah, and when I look at Madrid, there's just so many questions that have been asked throughout the entire season, and they have never been answered. I think it was pretty clear early on that Vinicius couldn't figure out how to play alongside Mbappe. We are now in April, and that question has still remained unanswered. And we saw it today. Vinicius couldn't get on the ball, man. And when he did, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go. But we know he can figure it out, as we saw his performances last year. So how are we in April right now, and Vinicius is performing the way he is? Yeah. And you can say the same thing about Rodrigo. He doesn't know how to combine with Mbappe as well as he did with Bellingham last year. And I think it shows. How is that left unanswered right now? Bellingham, too, was too quiet, man. Yeah. Offensively, Bellingham was unstoppable last year. This year, goes just as often as Vinicius. The only player showing up is Mbappe, and I don't know. I just think I don't know if that's a good thing. Like, if one player out of your 5 offensive players is showing up, something's wrong, man. Yeah. Sure, good for Mbappe for personal reasons or for statistical reasons, but as a team, football's a team game. And right now, Madrid have gotten here, in my opinion, without playing good team football. And it's why I think Arsenal won 3-0 today. They're the better team. And outside of the goals, man, Arsenal were just attacking Madrid. Madrid had no answers other than to rely on their defense, which is really good because I will say Asensio, Rudiger, and Courtois, they were amazing today. Yeah. They really were. And they still conceded 3. That's the problem.
Yeah, and 2 of those goals were off of free kicks. There's only so much you can do as a defender. Asensio, I thought, really stepped up today, and Rudiger was great as well. But yeah, I mean, the warning signs have been there all year for Real Madrid. I think everyone, though, just kind of put it off to the side or didn't prioritize those warnings because it's still Real Madrid. It's still incredible that Mbappe is even part of this team, that they only really lost Kroos in the offseason, and they add in one of the best players in all world football. You would just think, in your head, logically, it just makes sense. Yeah. Oh, they're going to go back and win it again. This is what we were saying when they beat Dortmund last year in the Champions League final. We're just like, sign them up for the Champions League final a year from now, man, because who's going to stop this team with Mbappe joining them? I can't believe it, but I think Mbappe joining has actually posed more questions for them than answers so far. Yeah. Maybe they figure it out in year 2 or year 3, but as of the first year, man, it has not been anywhere near as deadly as a lot of people in the football community, including ourselves, would have thought it'd be. So it's a low-key a damn shame that they're wasting the talent of these great players and they can't figure it out. I also asked the question, how much does Carlo Ancelotti have to play into this with his playing style and his strategy align with these guys? But I think it's a mix of both parties, the players and the coach not being able to figure it out and showcasing that today. Arsenal took full advantage. Defense did great. Yeah. And Arsenal's offense stepped up because they're much more dynamic. They're much more cohesive. And bro, Declan Rice.
Oh my
Declan
God,
Rice had something to say too. Man. I just can't believe that.
Goals.
I can't believe that, bro.
And it's just so good to see Arsenal step up. The determination that they showed today, it's what I've been wanting for Arsenal for the last 3 seasons, honestly. And they've just fallen short every single time. They've played such beautiful football along the way. But finally, they're actually getting the result to go along with it. It's not over. I understand that. But I think if they show up just in 80%, 75% of what they did today, they'll go to the semis.
Man, I wonder how Wenger must be feeling. I want to see an image of him just in the stands or where he's at, his reaction to a beautiful result like this. Thierry Henry seemed really excited about Arsenal playing today. Yeah. There's so many Arsenal fans. Kim Kardashian, I think, is an Arsenal fan. Damn. I'd be curious to know her reaction. There's so many Arsenal fans that I know, that I've met, that haven't experienced that level of glory in a long time, man. Yeah. It's been a long time, and they're on their way to potentially being able to lift a massive European trophy here. Obviously, it's not over, but huge result, winning 3-0 at home. And in my opinion, ending this tie after the first leg.
Yeah.
Second game that happened today, Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan. You folks know our predictions going into this game. We both picked Inter Milan to go through. I even made a more personal bet saying that if Bayern were to go to the final, I would go to Germany, drink 3 Steins, and shoot a podcast with a bunch of Germans afterwards as a way to apologize. Lots happened, though, since we made that video. It's been a month since we made our Champions League quarterfinal preview predictions video, and what's happened has been a lot of injuries for Bayern Munich, man. big names out. Upamecano out.
Yeah.
Jamal Musiala out.
Musiala, Davies. Davies also
Davies is
out.
the other big
That's
one.
a big one.
Manuel Neuer out. And Muller expected to be out.
Yeah.
Also part of what happened in the middle. Inter Milan goes into the Allianz Arena and wins this game 2-1. Obviously, our eyes were glued onto Real Madrid Arsenal game, but we got to see the bigger moments of that match. And man, some quality goals in this game. Starting off with Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro. Imagine if he did that shit.
That'd be crazy.
Lautaro Martinez scoring a beautiful goal with Thuram handing it off to him, backheel flick. It's just pure quality. I recommend you go check that goal out. Inter goes up 1-0.
Inter go up 1-0. What a goal. A beautiful assist from Thuram. Gorgeous outside of the boot finish from Lautaro Martinez. Hits the roof of the net. And the thing is it was against the run of play. The first 20-25 minutes completely dominated by Bayern. Inter Milan resorting to just absorbing all of that pressure. They're used to it. This is actually what Inter Milan thrive in. Just taking hit after hit after hit and then hitting out with two big hitters in Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. And it worked once again. There's no surprise here. I think what really surprised me, though, is in the second half, it was more Bayern. Bayern just kept attacking. Olise dancing out on the right-hand side. Kane receiving a lot of deadly crosses into the box. Bayern just really choking Inter Milan in the final third. They just couldn't get a goal. But finally, in the 80th minute, they finally do get one. Bayern equalized 1-1.
Yeah, and it was a good goal. It was a really good goal with Konrad Laimer sending in a nice ball into the one and only Thomas Muller. Of all people, he's the player that's able to break this Inter defense and put the ball into the back of the net. Makes it 1-1, but what ensued was just a classic, I think, Inter Milan approach to this match. They did not impose themselves offensively when they were up in this game. No. Decided to park the bus. It's been their trademark. They've been so good defensively, with Jan Sommer playing a big role in that. But minutes after they conceded Bayern Munich, they wake up, they break Bayern's defensive line, and it's a goal for Fratesi off of the counter to make it 2-1. Inter immediately responds.
They end up taking the win in Munich, and now I think it's going to be a really tough task for Bayern to try and hit back at a very defensive Inter in the San Siro. I think that's the biggest point. If this was in Italy, Bayern losing 2-1, I actually would have a lot higher hopes of Bayern maybe turning this around. But if Musiala is not going to be healthy, already showcasing that for 80 minutes, even with them dominating, they really couldn't score without him, I just don't see it happening in Italy. I really don't. But to be very clear, even though I have Inter going through, I'm not convinced with either of these sides, bro. I'm really not. And I know Inter have the crazy stat where they conceded one goal or actually maybe 0 goals in the group stage. 2 goals they've conceded so far. I think 3 now against this Bayern side. But even with that stat, man, I just think you have to have so much more offensively. And Inter Milan realistically only rely on Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. Yes, Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu can provide a final pass, but they're not really asked to do that. So you get this really conservative approach from Inter Milan. I'm not convinced that can win anything. And then when you look at Bayern Munich, well, kind of similar to Madrid, they've had this trend all season long where they get caught out defensively against anybody, and you can't do that in the Champions League, and it showed today in that second goal. And then offensively, Bayern Munich, outside of Jamal Musiala, cannot find goals. They can't. Kane is there, but it's because he's combining. But the wingers, man, whether it's Gnabry, Sané, Olise, for as good as they are on the ball, because they're amazing, they can't lead it to goals. And I think it showed itself today once again, taking 80 minutes when they honestly could have had 2 goals prior to that point. So I'm just not convinced with either of these sides.
If Inter defeats Bayern in the second leg, they're not beating Barca. That's my answer.
No.
That's my takeaway after watching this. They're not beating Barca. They're a good team. I think they have always been better than Bayern in my opinion. Their defense is really good, but I think Barcelona, the way I saw Bayern generate chances today, Barcelona generates twice that amount and finishes way more than what we saw Bayern do today, bro. They go up 3-0 early, I would say, against this Inter Milan team. So I have Barca, if they defeat Dortmund, which I do think they will, I have them dominating and defeating Inter Milan. It's just unfortunate, though. It's unfortunate because I wanted to actually see Bayern Munich play at full strength. I think they had a little bit more to offer in that sector if they were healthy, but no Alphonso Davies, who was so huge in past Champions League runs. No Jamal Musiala. I think it showed today. Inter outclassed them away from home. I think they close it out in the second leg.
Yep.
And I think I saved myself $1,000 on a plane ticket, my friend.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
I'm really happy for you, bro.
Ultimately, I'm safe here. I'm safe.